We'll start the session today. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Saili Daberao. I am an assistant professor at Telemanas Mentoring Unit, AIMS, Nagpur. Today, on behalf of Telemanas and IPS West Zone Public Relation Committee, I welcome you all in today's program, Insightful Link, that is reporting, understanding the mental health reporting in media. I would request Dr. Dipti ma'am to kindly introduce the theme today and welcome our president. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Sally. Good evening, everyone. I'm seeing a few of the known faces from media. Hi, Brendan. How are you? So, welcome to this program. I this topic is really near to my heart. Whenever we read a newspaper or see some media programs, sometimes we see that they're doing a wonderful job in creating awareness, and sometimes we see that oh, how much of mess you have created, and we see a lot of famous cases in which media played a big role. So mental health and media are they're going together. You can be our partner in creating awareness and you can create a mess for us. So let's learn from our expert, Dr. Harish Shetty, on
No,
how to
one sec, Dipti. Let's not say any mess. Okay?
yes, true,
We both learn together and
true,
grow together. They have to learn from us. We have to really learn from them, and let's not talk about any mess. We're all growing.
true, sir. So before we start our session, I would like to introduce and welcome our President, Indian Psychiatric Society, West Zone Brand, Dr. Neena Sawant ma'am. I don't think she needs a lot of introduction, but welcome, Neena ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Dipti, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Dr. Harish Shetty and Dr. Anjali Chabria, who are basically spokespersons of the Psychiatric Society, I would say, for the national body. And we have both, I think I have grown up reading their things in media and how they have, wonderfully portrayed what actually needs to be portrayed. And yes, today's seminar on Insightful Inc. and basically understanding mental health reporting is a very much needed thing in today's times, where every day we are coming across news which get reported, which maybe are sensitized so much that may create a problem for other patients. So we have to understand that mental health awareness is something which is happening on a very high frequency nowadays. And the Public Relation Committee of the IPSWZB is actually doing a lot of good work in this year and has conducted a lot of community awareness programs in order to create this awareness. So it was much essential that we also talk to media, we also understand their point of view, and yes, of course, make them understand what we mean about confidentiality, or what we think that things should come up or should not be written. And hence I think we don't have much better experts than the speaker today and our chair today, who have actually done so much work and will share their insights today. So without wasting much time, I hand over to Saili for further proceedings.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our nodal officer, Dr. Suyog Jaiswal sir, to kindly share few things about Telemanas Mentoring Unit and the program, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saili. It's been a great pleasure to collaborate with the Digital Psychiatry Committee of IPS West Zone. Is always a good thing. So let me brief you guys about what Telemanas is about. Telemanas is a national program, Telemental Health Program of India, under which there are various helplines that work. 14416 is the number, and there are four call centers spread across Maharashtra, and we are entrusted with the training, the quality assurance as well as awareness purpose and nodal reference center for these as well. So this Telemanas is not specifically directed to address the mental illnesses. However, the goal is that 80% of the calls that Telemanas receives are about mental health distress. They may not have a diagnosis, but it's simply the distress of relationship, distress of exam, distress of any other things. The crisis management is the primary job, and then appropriate referral to the nearest mental health services that are available. And it's an integration of a district mental health program with the digital arm, that is Telemanas. So as we all know, as technology has progressed, slowly and gradually things are coming onto our mobile. So with Telemanas, we are hoping that mental health will also take a form in this digital space. So I thank IPS West Zone once again for this collaboration, and I'm very keen to listen to sir on this particular topic. Over to you, Saili.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Dr. Tanvi to kindly introduce our chairperson today, Dr. Anjali ma'am. Dr. Tanvi.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Tanvi Pendekar. I'm consultant psychiatrist at District Mental Health Program, North Goa. It's my privilege to introduce this chairperson for today's session, Dr. Anjali Chhabria. She is a prominent psychiatrist and psychotherapist in India. She founded the Mind Temple Clinic in the year 2005, which provides an array of services across all age groups in psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, and advanced procedures like that of RTMS. Dr. Chhabria has served as the president of Bombay Psychiatric Society. She has also served as the board of Children's Film Society and is presently director of Salam Bombay Foundation and the chairperson of IPS Media. Dr. Chhabria is the author of the book Death is Not the Answer, which breaks the taboo on discussing the sensitive subject of suicide. She is also the founder of Mind Temple Institute of Behavioral Sciences, which provides holistic solution for workplace and educational institute mental health well-being across the globe. Welcome you, ma'am. Also, I would like to request you to kindly introduce the speaker of today's session.
Thank you so much. I think it's indeed my privilege to introduce my friend, and I think we started our careers together. Well, even though he doesn't require any introduction, let me tell you that his career objective is community mental health, spreading awareness in mental health, suicide prevention, and working towards building peace in Bharat. He is a multilingualist, knows so many languages, and I think that helps him to communicate better. He's finished his MBBS, MD, DPM, DCM. And
I think Anjali.
Yes. No. I have to introduce you. No, I have to introduce you because people know you. See, the thing is, people experience Dr. Harish Shetty, but I think they should also know what he has done and what he continues to do. So let me just tell you that he is the president of My Home India, which is integrating rest of India to the Northeast. He's a governing board member, National Testing Agency, assisting the agency. He's conducting mental health workshops in schools. He works with the judicial. He has suicide prevention workshops everywhere, including mohallas. He has been teaching mental health at the Maharashtra Judicial Academy. He's been working with NGOs to build capacity, wellness, and mental health, conducting support group for those who have lost their loved ones to COVID. I think he's also conducting one for those who have families who have lost people to suicide. Isn't that, Dr. Shetty? He's been
COVID.
teaching, yes,
COVID
and suicide, teaching Sangathan Shastra to corporates and universe agencies. He has worked at a lot of disaster, places which have gone through disaster for providing mental health disaster relief, including Latur, Kandla, as well as Anand Kheda. And he has also been evaluating the disaster relief work after the earthquakes, which happened in Jabalpur and in Kutch. So he goes there personally to provide psychosocial relief whether it's floods, whether it is, I think, any disaster, and he is there. He's not only being teaching, training, building mental health systems for schools, he's also actively filed cases. He has filed a writ petition in the Bombay High Court to have more learning disability testing centers. He has filed a letter to the Bombay High Court that was converted into a suo motu writ petition to abolish the segregation of children on the basis of marks in school. He has filed a petition in Bombay High Court to identify those who have recovered from mental illness and can be reunited with their families. Also, I think you did something to get them work, no? Occupation, you haven't mentioned that. Okay, so he has not only been teaching, training, but he is actually there. We all remember his Sunday talks during COVID, which taught the general public so much about the emotional aspect of COVID. And of course, we read his name everywhere, taking care of people who deserve to be taken care of. So over to you, Dr. Shetty. As I said, you have to experience him.
I thank Anjali for the generous introduction. Thank you, the team, Suyog and others, Nina, my colleague at KM Hospital, and everybody who's here. Let me first thank the journalists and people in the media across time for assisting us change policies, assisting us help children, assisting us in spreading awareness, and also assisting at places where human rights of the mentally was compromised, and one media article changed the entire thing. So I would like to really place on record the lovely things which they have done, and also that me and Anjali and others have learned a lot from the journalists. When I say journalists, English, Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati, Urdu, and many, many others. So thank you for your friendship, for your partnership, and for your guidance. So when you say that we are partners, I would exhort every mental health professional here that every journalist is important. I still remember when we started our work long ago, one senior psychiatrist said, I only talk to the top media companies. I don't talk to the small ones. I disagreed. And I tell my psychiatrists even now, every reporter is important. Even a cub reporter or an intern is important. Why? 3 reasons. One is, even if he or she is working in a small place, he or she will remember that when she was a cub reporter, he was a cub reporter, Anjali took the trouble of providing a quote or writing an article. Number 2, these cub reporters will grow and get into major media companies tomorrow. And number 3, when you're associated with them right from their young age, you will understand that they automatically become mental health advocates, mental health professionals, mental health warriors, and the partnership continues across life. And this is very, very important, as much as you can. Now, as I say this, ultimately, I would say that it's all about stories, whether on TV, whether in print, whether in a podcast, or whether in a website. Everybody wants to write a story. The fact is that stories change policies, stories change health of people, and stories make an impact, which is something which is unimaginable. Let me start with one story. I still remember years ago when a young little girl who had cerebral palsy and who had to be picked up and taken to the classroom up in the second or the third floor. The principal said, we do not want this child and we don't have time to take her to the second or the third floor, and her marks in the ninth standard is less. I still remember speaking to that principal, who's no more as of now, in one of the oldest schools in Mumbai. And what happened? What happened was my friend Anil Singh wrote a story. NALSA took it on. NALSA is the Supreme Court's a part which believes in which does work on the side of legal. They do a lot of education, etc. In Maharashtra, we have NALSA. And immediately, NALSA sent a notice to the school, thanks to that story which the journalist published. And the child was taken back. And that story became a model, a module for all others to understand that they cannot do this at all. So let me tell you, media can escalate and have a great human impact and a great impact in things which you may not have ever believed. But the issue is that I might do a workshop on LD, Anjali might do a workshop on mental health, but Tare Zami Par is equal to 1 million workshops in LD. So escalation of a story is done by the media, and I'm really very, very fortunate, and I'm really extremely grateful. म्हणजे मला कृतज्ञता आहे, आणि मी अगदी आनंदित तुम्हाला सांगतो की मला पुष्कळ आनंद झाला की मी पुष्कळ तुमच्याकडून शिकलो. Next story, I still remember the day when Sion Hospital LD department was about to close because the funders had withdrawn. And that's the time a front page story in a major newspaper in Maharashtra brought the funding back into the center. And that is a very high impact story for all the psychiatrists here, for all the psychologists here. Remember, be gentle, generous, perseverant, patient, and persistent with the media. They may make mistakes, but look at the big picture. India is all about don'ts and not do's. For a child, a young child in school, the mother speaks about don'ts first and do's first. It's not about don'ts and do's. It's about the mota thing, but there are issues which we need to really highlight or flag. Now, I still remember this lady, Anjali, you remember her? She might.
Yes, I do.
Years ago, in the edit room of one of the most major newspaper, fought her way to get one big special page years ago, 30 years ago, on the mental day. And she found out Mark Talwalkar, those days, who had bipolar disorder, and Mark Talwalkar gave an interview then which broke the ice, and people started talking about mental health. Shabnam wrote a beautiful full page on mental health, and I still regard her as one of the iconic reporters who really set the ball rolling. आता काय बोलायचं म्हणजे अनिल सिंग, आरती कदम, गिरीश कुबेर, माधवी राजदाक्षा, मालती अय्यर, and so many others, Anahita Mukherjee, and so many others from all media, all English media and other medias, Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi, and so many. And they have really worked and done a lot of things. Now, ultimately, what is the partnership between a psychiatrist or a psychologist and the media? It's not only for a story. A psychiatrist or a psychologist has to see a story in every event. Say, for example, you go to a journalist and say that we are having an annual day program of the West Zone. We would want you to cover it. Don't waste the time of the media to look for the peg in the story. West Zone president Neena ji should cull through all the presentations and find a peg. Peg means the front portion of the story, the USP of the story. And when you find a peg, you can sell that to a journalist. At the same time, as I've said, it's not our contact is not about the story. Our contact is constant conversation. And sometimes when you talk 100 times, 99 things may not get published, but that one thing can go on, which means we are not Kama Purta Mamas. Patrakar is not a Kama Purta Mama. The constant dialogue between both of us refines his ability to put mental health on the front page or on the screen, and his skills or her skills also improves our refinement, and that is so important. Now, I would like to refresh your memory. 25 years ago, Nafisa Joseph ended her life by suicide. She was one of the greatest models of all time. And unfortunately, the media wrote all details about her suicide. And me and Anil Singh counted the number of suicides after that. There were approximately 17 to 18 suicides in a very short time. This is known as copycat suicide. This is what we have to be very careful about. Now, another man, Dhananjoy Chatterjee, was a man who was hanged to death. In the 21st century, he was the first person to be hanged to death by law in India. He was a rape accused. And when he was about to be hanged to death, media wrote about the length of the wire, how the wire will go around him, how will he stand, how will he fall, and actually also the hangman and his interview. What happened? After that, a lot of people who are on the edge, they ended their life by suicide. So what is very important for us and the media is that it is important to understand that there are some media guidelines of reporting suicide, which evolved across a lot of experiences in USA when they stopped the front page news in the 70s of suicide. The suicide went down. In London, where there was this gas tragedy, people would kill themselves by artificial chemicals. When they stopped reporting, it actually went down. But these are two hallmark cases I remember. Well, my name has been dragged into the death of this lovely actor, and all of us will remember how the TV went haywire when he passed away. It's so unfortunate. I was called by the CBI also. Many other psychiatrists were called by the CBI. And the CBI is yet to put out the report. But the point is the way the media actually spread a lot of canards in terms of increased number of myths about suicide. And they had a ball. The most responsible channels played mischief and totally closed their eyes on responsible reporting and did a lot of shit. It is very tempting for a journalist to have a byline. I agree, and you should have one. It's very tempting for the copy editor to make it sexy. I agree, you should actually do that. But the media guidelines will help you how you should make it sexy. The no news, no method, no place where the suicide happened, no details about the personal life. You can always convert the entire event into a footnote on page 7, but on page 1 or on your breaking news, you need to say, how is it that we can help people live well and prevent suicide? My dear friends, 1 out of 7 Indians are mentally ill. 1 out of 8, in every 8 minutes, a young man commits suicide. In every 35 minutes in India, a young student commits suicide. So it's so important for us to do this. Now, again, I would like to point an important aspect in reporting suicide in the media. Well, my dear friends, when the Andhra young student died, when the army officer hung himself during the procession, during a sabha of a politician, when the young girl in Bangalore committed suicide, what happened? Everybody wants to make hay when there is a suicide. But if Sushant Singh would have died in an accident, there would be no news. There would be a post-mortem. So my friends, journalists and psychiatrists, I would like to say that when Rohit Vemula died of suicide and all politicians made hay, I wrote to the Chief Justice of the Andhra High Court and told them, please get a psychological autopsy going. When the army officer, army Jawan, hung himself in a sabha of Arvind Kejriwal, I wrote to the Chief Justice of India and said, let us stop politicizing suicides, but let us look at a psychological autopsy to understand how did that happen? Why did that happen? Is there any reason? And I would request my journalist friends to highlight psychological autopsy. It's not rocket science. Well, Army, Navy, and Air Force, when there are suicides, they conduct a psychological autopsy. I have conducted a psychological autopsy many times, and once when a famous journalist from an English newspaper ended his life on the request of the press club in Mumbai. So let us understand that first reporting, how you report. I still remember the call by Somita Paul, long ago. She spoke to a few of us and she wrote a good story. But at night, the copy editor said, let's make it sexy, and he put a news around it. So it's so important to understand, so vital to understand that you can hide the place.
I request everybody to keep their mics off, please.
How it is done, etc., and make the copy very sexy in writing about how to identify, how to prevent, and how to really promote wellness. My dear friends, the media guidelines for suicide reporting is very clear. If you go to the net and click WHO and ask for the media guidelines, it's everything there. So psychological autopsy is important. Let's promote psychological autopsy so that politicizing of suicide stop. And this is not the responsibility of only journalists, but every resident in psychiatry. If you see something like that, please write Chief Justice of that state, please write to the IG of that state, and please write to the MLA and MP of the state that we want psychological autopsy. We don't want to play with the lives of somebody who has died by suicide. We don't want to cause undue stress, harm, and pain to the family who has committed suicide. My dear friends, copycat suicide is something we know, and I've actually shared incidents little earlier when I spoke about Nafisa Joseph. My dear friends, copycat killing is also very common. If you remember, my dear journalists and psychiatrists and mental professionals, when that young man shot the politician while he was giving a Facebook interview, and it went across all newspapers and all channels. 3 more happened in the state of Maharashtra, and they stopped publishing it. It stopped. So what happened to the fridge? When this lady was cut into 35 pieces, and it was reported extensively, there were many cases which happened. Which means what? Which means copycat suicide is basically when somebody on the edge feels that usne jo kiya sahi kiya, त्याने जे काय केलं हे व्यवस्थित होतं, आपल्याला पण तसंच करायला पाहिजे. We are on the edge. So those on the edge can fall on the other side. Copycat killers, you and I will revulse, will be angry, sad, and may not sleep when you hear about killers murdering somebody for a flimsy reason, for no reason at all. Violence is bad. But there are some people waiting there. अरे क्या game किया बाप, अपने को इससे अच्छा game अपने को करने का है. Similarly, when somebody used the fridge for the wrong reasons, there were many other cases. So it is implicit, I don't want to say anything more, but it's implicit that we have a responsibility, both psychiatrists and journalists, to share information, to share issues in a manner that is responsible. We need to take deep breaths. Journalists and mental professionals, you take deep breaths and not think about yourself. Think about the life about whom you are talking. Think about the issue about whom you're talking. Think about the mental health movement in the country about whom we're talking. My friends, mental health education is sexy. I would say that I still remember year after year, so many of you all have written articles every day on the mental health week or every day during the mental health month or innumerable articles when there is an event and you use that event as a peg and educate. Actually, mental education can also be very sexy without talking about how it happened, why it happened, and who died. An actor's death is 100% grief to the family, but a poor man's death by suicide in a slum where he or she has been taking MD and meth and he or she gets frustrated and ends his life is equally important. Equally important. So it's cool to talk about mental education after an event, either in a slum or in a middle class area or an actor. Please do not get obsessed by a death due to suicide by celebrities and actors alone. It sends a long message. In fact, you know these guys, when a celebrity attempts suicide or ends his life, there are a host of celebrities who make hay by giving their opinion. Yesterday I spoke to him. You don't say that when somebody dies of heart attack that he was fine yesterday. So it's important to respect the privacy of the person who dies, who actually could be anybody, at the same time not allow others to promote themselves and give opinions, lay opinions about what happened to that person. It happened so many times. My dear friends, it's not about newspapers, it's not only about TV, it's not about the social media, but websites have become very powerful. My dear friends, mental professionals, please call up and tell the owners of these websites, all the editors, that I want to write for you. They will welcome you. More we plug education in all the spaces available to us and healthy scientific education. The odd quack will not get his space. It's like this. I'll give you a metaphor. When there's a death in a hospital, it's important for the HOD of that hospital or medical director to issue a proper press note. And if you don't do this and if you hide, journalists will talk to ward boys and nurses and get the story. So it's important that you really quote websites, quote them, talk to them, inculcate them with science, and keep writing. There's no need for you to be Harish Shetty, Anjali Chhabria, Siyog, or anybody to write. A person who has the will, the heart, and a little understanding of any language can write. Mental science is not rocket science. It is not philosophy either. It may not be quantum physics, but it's basic science, which anybody can write. Believe, my dear friends, every mental health professional here and every journalist here is basically a breaking news expert and break the news scientifically so that it helps the larger population. My dear friends, no journalist can really escape mental health issues. Nowhere. I have told the Prime Minister, I've written to the Prime Minister that we need to do a mental checkup of every parliamentarian. No, not out of sarcasm. But if you have to send the message of breaking the stigma, it has to come from the top. Evolution starts from the top. Revolution starts from below. I would ask journalists after a suicide in IIT or in any other college, I would want you to go and ask the dean, why don't you have a mental health checkup? And in a mental checkup, the dean, the top guy with his family, should go and do a checkup. If Mood Indigo and TechFest are so famous in IITs, why don't the IITs also do periodic mental checkups where the top guys with their families go and do a checkup so that stigma breaks? And this is something we need to really focus. When I say stigma breaks, three things happen. One is it creates awareness, mental checkups. Second, the stigma breaks, the shame breaks. And if the top guy goes, the students automatically go and get the checkup done. And the third thing which is important is we will also be able to identify high risk cases. My dear friends, I come to a very important point for all the journalists here or who will listen to this on YouTube later. Can you believe that Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Manipur, Nagaland, and J&K have the lowest suicide rates? I want you guys, after you finish your BMM, do your master's or your PhD and sit down in those villages to find out, is there any coping skills among this population that helps them for having lower suicide rates? Don't blame them. Oh, it's a faulty reporting. No. I would like to be I would like to see what is happening in the states. Well, in UP, whenever a UP client comes, he doesn't come alone. He comes with people from his village. Whenever a Bihari comes, he comes with people from his village. हमारा गांव का है साहब, आप उसको 4 दिन दे दो दवाई साहब, हम उसको गांव ले जाएंगे, वहाँ बहुत लोग हैं, उसको संभाल लेंगे. So I think this is also very important. My dear friends, mental health professionals, media, family mental health is one of the most important tragedies in India as of now. Year after year, the NCRB figures say that 1 out of 3 people who die by suicide is because of family problem. I would ask journalists, media guys to have a lot of space to how to promote family mental health and a lot of space to really find out what are the ingredients of family mental health. And that is something which is very crucial for all of us. My dear friends, as I slowly stop so that we can take some questions, because the organizers are very generous, I am so sad, my dear friends. The middle ground is lost. You look at an anchor and you know what she's going to speak. You look at a panelist, you know exactly what he speaks. There is no mystery, there are no surprises. So everybody is on both sides. And the middle ground of debate and discussion is lost, completely lost. I filed 3 PILs, which have been reported widely by the media. One was when Tukudi in segregation in schools, where children with higher marks were given A division, children with less marks B division, and the bad children were given D or E. If you all remember, the Marathi movie Dahavi Fail shows the consequence of what happens. And my dear mental professional, pick up an issue and file a PIL. And partner with the professionals from the media, how to highlight that so that it has a tremendous impact in policy. My dear friends, we need to occupy the middle ground. The world is a space of angst. Everybody is abusing everybody. Panauti, snake, I'll rip you apart. I think the world is in a basic crisis. And we as mental health professionals, we should really pick the middle ground where we debate in a very healthy manner. We talk about issues. We don't take sides, but we talk about issues and discern them. And this is something which we can do. My dear friends, media guys need to educate mental health professionals. How to write a simple press note. How to identify a peg in a story so that it becomes interesting for the media to write or to show or to do whatever. How to convert a crisis into an opportunity? Well, we all know. If there was, I still remember when an actor's brother accused the actor of being violating his human rights, and the actor's brother was actually unwell. And that's the time when the psychiatrist involved may not talk about the actor's brother, but talk about the illness and how to really educate the entire audience or the populace to understand the illness. So look at crisis. It could be death by suicide. It could be violence because of any reason. It could be different things which happens in society, and use this crisis or remove the essence of this crisis to educate. So media would actually help you to understand how to convert a crisis into an opportunity, how to talk in front of a TV camera. I would like mental health professionals to educate themselves from the media, and I would ask the media guys to conduct workshops for us, and I would ask Meena Saban to actually take few steps ahead. Also, my dear mental health professionals, we are not born to treat patients only in the clinic. We are born to create campaigns, and we are born to convert a campaign into a movement. Let me share one metaphor, one fact. one data point. You all know that a lot of American states have written and complained to the federal courts against Facebook and Instagram. American states have filed federal court case against Instagram and Facebook saying that they are reaping profits by causing depression, anxiety, and suicide among children. And the UNESCO, in a great document in the month of July, said that 1 out of 4 countries has restricted gadgets by either advice or by law. United States of America Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy has come up with a beautiful, eye-opening document, Social Media and Youth. I would exhort both mental professionals and psychiatrists to pick up this entire peg and start a campaign on mindful use of social media, which is extremely important. And we have other issues also. So let us partner and convert campaigns into a movement. My dear friends, there are many issues which you can flag. Are you aware that in spite of the disability being launched in 2016, and in the act that said that 2 years the state should comply, nothing has happened. The Supreme Court just recently was extremely angry at this. Can you believe when learning disability incidence is between 5 to 8%, the CBSE data says 0.001% is 1/4 is identified. My dear journalist friends, let's pick up the issue, let's create stories and let's spread it. I am planning to meet Prime Minister for the same after the election. Suicide prevention, again a major issue. Angst, anger balance, a major issue. And for now, with the help of Dr. Bharat Watwani, we have shattered a myth that once in mental hospital, you are always in mental hospital. And let us go and visit mental hospitals. One real humble request to journalists. I am from the old school. I am not given a story on the phone 25 years back. Journalists would go to hospitals, hide in the hospitals. Journalists would go to places where things happened wrong, and they would cull the story by first-hand observation. So I would exhort all journalists, look at this issue. Fifth is access to care. It is extremely difficult for the poor to access mental health care. And how can we prevent the loss of our government hospitals? In Maharashtra, we had a robust municipal hospital system. And what is happening is because of globalization, health and education will slowly get privatized, and that will actually close the door and close the safety net for the poor, and that is something. My dear friends, as I close, I would say a journalist is a frontline mental counselor. We are two sides of the same coin. We both can make mistakes. But it's okay, yeah. The life of a story most of the times is the next day morning. And we should not hang. I still remember the incident. I mean, it's a very interesting incident. I will stop after this. That incident was this, that once somebody came to actually interview Dr. NSY. Anjali, you'll remember this. And I was so possessive about the fact that he or she would do a very right interview. I mean, I told the journalist, Baba, kuch aada tera mat likhna. And I'm very young and very inexperienced. I didn't understand media. I didn't understand things. And he or she was very upset and said that, why don't you trust me, doctor? I'll do my job to the best of my ability. So do not go and advise the media people all the time. Nobody likes advice today, a 4-year-old or a 40-year-old. In fact, you partner, talk, and discuss. And always has to be a two-way discussion. I understand that there have been a lot of mistakes. I flagged a few, but we need to understand that both of us are two sides of the same coin. The second was when there was a story on nocturnal enuresis. Somebody wrote emesis. You know, emesis is basically something different than nocturnal enuresis. Enuresis is when somebody pees in the bed even after he or she regains control of the urine. But emesis is something different. And all the psychiatrists jumped at me. Aisa kaisa bolta? I told them, usko bolo, usko phone karo. Maine bola, yaar, I know this journalist who has been absolutely a partner in our movement, mental movement. And this one error, we should not hang anybody for one error. And that's how we need to. We need to be kind, compassionate, and helping and assisting and strategically plugging stories on mental health, which will help in the community. So at the end, I would like to thank Suyog and Nina, our colleague, and the friend who called me all the time, Saili, to see to it that I'm here. And speaking of the same, I would thank all my mental health professionals and my media professionals for all the support you have given to the mental health movement across the last 60 years or 70 years, and we continue actually doing it. Thank you, and let's work as partners across our lifetimes.
Thank you, Dr. Shetty. As people can start writing their questions and share it with us, I remember two instances which I'm going to share with you. Dr. Shetty would remember them as well. So I think our relationship, a lot of people come and ask us if we have PR agencies who are managing. Okay. And Dr. Shetty, would you like to answer that question? Do you have a PR agency?
Absolutely. Everybody would come and ask me, Anjali. I said, once somebody was so serious, he said, "Tumhara PR agency ka naam do." Then I put my name in the envelope and Anjali's name in the envelope. I closed the envelope, hand over kiya. And I said, you don't need a PR agency here. If you're honest, if you're upright, and if you believe that the media is your partner, you continuously educate, you continuously talk, you continuously share. And that would not mean that everything which you share will be seen on the front page. Maybe nothing would be seen. So all of us, see, I always say, Anjali, that human being is a powerful animal. Mental health professionals are awesome and more powerful animals. So we need to use our skills to educate in the right manner. Your PR agency will give you 4.8 or 4.7 by all the dots, but ultimately they'll say तुम्हारा एक आर्टिकल आएगा एक साल में, 3 आर्टिकल इसमें आएगा, 4 आर्टिकल इसमें आएगा, 1 लाख रुपया दो. भैया ये सब चक्कर में मत पड़ो. कोणी असू द्या, तुम्ही आरामात काय ना काय लिहू शकता. मी तुम्हाला एक एक्झाम्पल देतो. Just give me 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Absolutely.
When the gods drank milk, there was a time when gods drank milk. मेरे को आया खुजली. मैंने बहुत किया पढ़ाई और मैंने कितना बड़ा खुजली देखो ना. At the age of 28 or 30, I said अपना edit page में आर्टिकल आना चाहिए. मैंने भेज दिया. And what happened? The Times of India editor of Bombay said that this is not good. But खुजना था कि I sent it to the Delhi chief editor, and he published on the edit. And I mean, Anjali and me, we were nobody at that time. So have the confidence of knocking the doors, writing, because they might find your views very useful. It's not essential to have long years of experience to write, but when you go on writing, talking, and speaking, you also become very refined, become like wine. Thank you, Anjali.
Absolutely. In fact, since you're sharing this, I'll share with people that both of us have never spent a single rupee to get an article. In fact, once somebody came to me and said, I'm from so-and-so agency, and if you give me so much money, I'll put your article in whatever, the big newspapers. And that same day, there was an article and I showed it to him. I said, how much do you think I should have spent to get this article? And the person started laughing, he's saying, and then he started sharing with me all my colleagues' names who were paying for these articles. But I think if you're genuine and if you kind of put your cause, so whenever you read the newspaper or hear the news, and if you feel that there is something lacking, reach out to that person. I did it 35 years ago when I started practice. Okay, there was an article on how parents were to blame for their child's mental health, how schools were not doing a great job. And that time we used to have pay phone outside my clinic. I had just started practice, I had a lot of time to read the newspaper. I went out and I remember taking 3 rupees and every 3 minutes I put 1 rupee coin. And I spoke to that journalist and I said, you've left out a very important piece. And he said, what is this? I said, child mental health, there is something. So he said, can you please write something and send it to me? I remember writing that article in the bathroom in the middle of the night. because I had no place to write, and sending it to him. And to my great surprise, it came on the first page, just 15 days into my practice. I have yet
Absolutely,
done that.
absolutely.
I have yet done that 3 months ago when I got onto a flight and I saw somebody wrote an article about how this lady threw her child out of the balcony. And nowadays you have the journalist's name and contact. I sent him an email saying that, there is something called as postpartum psychosis. Why don't you just read about it? If you want, I'll give you. And please do not expect your name to come in every article. In fact, share people's names. I said, I'm not in India, but you can talk to these colleagues of mine. Get yourself, just learn about it and maybe write another article. And that is what helps. And many a times you may give them 4 paragraphs and the next day, eagerly you check the newspaper and you may not see your name at all. Okay.
And not a single line.
Yes, not a single line. Please do not feel bad about it. Don't get egoistic and don't say, "Arey, uska naam aaya, mera naam nahi aaya." Because sometimes aapka naam aayega, sometimes kisi aur ka naam aayega. But the larger cause is what matters, because when people start understanding it, they are going to come to whoever's closest to them. So do we have any questions?
I currently
also
do
to
not
add-
see any questions in the.
And
Yes,
also to
please.
add what Anjali said, don't be very bombastic. Be subtle and smart. Yes, Nina, you have anything to share? We would want to hear you out.
So I'd really thank you and Anjali for the very insightful views which you have given. And I think both of you have instigated a chingari, and I hope it becomes a fire where we take out this mental health campaign. I would like to tell you that from the IPSWZB, I have approached some media houses to partner for mental health campaign, because mental health advocates, all of us are mental health advocates, and I feel that we need to start by collaborating with them rather than running away from them or putting. Of course, they have agreed, and I hope to see that in the next couple of months we do some good community level awareness, where they said we will definitely give a space for some mental health issue which you want to highlight in the community and bring out, and it would be something which happens on a weekly basis. Because just writing, see, most of us write articles in newspapers and we have columns which appear weekly, and people do read them, you do have viewership. But when some things happen on a daily basis, those issues need to be highlighted there and then, so that the awareness improves and it impacts society as a whole. So from my side, I'm definitely trying my best. And yes, because most of the news media now have digital views and have their own YouTube channels. So apart from print media, as you said, we need to be savvy in front of the camera, and most of us also are not very comfortable in front of the camera. So I would definitely try my best to initiate a workshop for us to be camera friendly. Maybe we'll speak with some media houses. And yes, I would definitely want IPSWZB to associate with whatever work you are also doing to bring about a change in the community. Very much needed. And all your PILs
Nina,
and the
can I add one point to
Yes,
when you're
yes.
in front of the camera? I think
Yes.
it's very important. Keep it simple, keep it short. Do not use too much of psychiatric jargon, because people do not understand that. Just as you would talk to a patient, that's
Yes.
how we need to keep it.
Yes.
Sorry to
Absolutely.
interrupt, but I thought I could add that.
Nina, can I
Thank you.
take 20
Yeah.
seconds?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, in the late 80s and early 90s, I would like you to know that Times of India started a health file. It was a 200 word column, which was dark. Others were also plain but dark. And it was handled by Dion Bunsha. She's left from there. And I used to read that every day and say, Salas, ye psychiatry kuch nahi hai. डायबिटीज है, हाइपरटेंशन, देन मैंने क्या किया होगा? मैंने कुछ कांटेक्ट यूज नहीं किया। मैंने बोला डियोन बुनशा का क्या फोन नंबर है, देव। मैंने डियोन बुनशा को फोन करके बोला, भाई तुम लोग क्या करते हो यार, यू ओनली राइट हेल्थ, यू नॉट इंटरेस्टेड मेंटल हेल्थ, एंड शी सेड यू राइट। And I wrote 13 pieces. I mean, I'm talking about 30 years ago. And then what happened was in the Times of India, they said, who's this Harish Shetty? Tum uska kya chapta hai?
I remember that.
And the resident editor then said, "Na, uska mat chapo, tumhara uske sath kya connection?" There was nothing. And then the second part of the story is very important. Is that the resident editor bumped into me one day. And he expected some Harish Shetty to have a three-piece suit, bombastic, and bada bada. He said, "Tum Harish Shetty hai?" Bola, "Mai chai." Then he interviewed me after stopping everybody. The point
I remember they used to be told, na, उससे बात नहीं करना.
हाँ, उससे बात मत कर. The point is, and second important point I would like to share with all the young girls and boys here. देखो भाई, प्रैक्टिस स्टार्ट किया ना, हफ्ते में एक इंस्टाग्राम पोस्ट लिखो, something very interesting which you have seen without the confidentiality being compromised. People like to read stories. Now all the young hunt for young mental health professionals. एक फेसबुक स्टोरी लिखो, टाइम पास मत करो. एक फेसबुक स्टोरी, एक इंस्टाग्राम स्टोरी is much more powerful than having a talk for 200 people in Anandi by Deodar Hall. So that is something you need to do. And don't try to be very perfect, and don't ever get bogged down by old school criticism. Every criticism is like a feedback, but don't get bogged down, because Indians, in Marathi, we have a saying, Suyog will help me or Swarup will help me. Prasiddhi Paramukh. काय ते जरा सांग मला Swarup. Prasiddhi, Saili, you know that phrase? There is a phase by which in Indian philosophy, do not seek publicity.
Prasiddhi Paramukh.
And thank you, sir. Thank you. Who was that?
Hemant.
Hemant. Thank you, Hemant.
It means the person
Hemant
who
and me Hemant and me, we conducted a mental health checkup. Thank you, Hemant. So what is happening is, in our unconscious, प्रसिद्धी नाही करायचं, हे नाही करायचं. Patanjaliनी योगाची प्रसिद्धी केव्हाही नाही केली. People know yoga, but they don't do Patanjali. But the world has changed. Our example is our Prime Minister. कभी 15 दिन के बाद underwater photo, बाद में 15 दिन मंदिर में photo. So in this world, don't cry and don't hesitate, because Friedman Kaplan will not talk about mental health in India. You have to talk about it. And it could be anybody in the IPS or outside IPS, and any mental professional who can talk sense. Thank you, Nina, for the generosity of time to me and Anjali.
Time was all yours only, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very insightful and very much interesting session for us. We got to know the importance of reporting the experiences which we have, and not to hesitate putting it forward. Now I would like to request Dr. Swarup to kindly conclude the session and give vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Saili. Thank you, Dr. Harish Shetty, sir, for sharing your valuable insight and experiences about this very important and sensitive topic. Thank you, Anjali Madam, for accepting our invitation to chair this session. I extend my thanks to Dr. Saili for being a moderator for this session, and to Dr. Suyog for sharing information about Telemanas. And last not the least, a big thank you to Dr. Nina Madam for our president, who is our continuous guidance, support, and encouragement, and to our public relation committee members, both seniors and colleagues, for organizing this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali, for being there.
Thank you, Swarup. There's a health correspondent who has put a remark, Brendan. Yes. Nina, you want to say something?
No, you can say, I mean, he's put a very long, I just saw that something has come.
Yes. No, he has put a remark as to how
Copycat
we have
suicide.
been educating people on copycat suicides, and also please continue to do this work, great work. And yes, we are here to learn from you. And thank you so much for talking about mental health. Thank you for having me here, Nina and Saili. Thank you, Dr. Shetty,
Thank
for a
you.
wonderful session, as usual.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody,
Thanks a
and
lot.
good night. Yes, thank you so much.